I didn't expect much from the company holiday party. Usually, these events were loud, full of awkward small talk, and a lot of people pretending to enjoy cheap wine. But tonight, I had a different perspective, a different lens. My wife, Harper, had been unusually excited. She had been talking about it for weeks, meticulously planning her outfit, her hairstyle, and, of course, her interactions. Harper had always been ambitious, a go-getter in every sense of the word. I admired that about her, truly. But there was a small part of me, the part one kept buried, that wondered if I could keep up with her energy. We arrived together, hand in hand, stepping into the glittering hall. Balloons and streamers were everywhere, and the soft hum of chatter mixed with the occasional laugh filled the space. Harper's eyes sparkled as she scanned the room, looking for familiar faces. And then I saw it, the moment I knew would stick in my memory. She spotted her boss, Gregory Maxwell, across the room, and suddenly her entire demeanor shifted. Her posture straightened, her smile widened, and she made her way over as if drawn by some invisible string. I followed, of course, maintaining a casual distance. Harper began boasting, in that soft yet confident tone she used when she wanted to impress someone, about her latest project, her achievements, and subtly about how indispensable she was to the team. Gregory chuckled politely, leaning in as if hanging on to every word. My chest tightened, a strange mix of pride and unease swirling together. I reminded myself to breathe. I had seen this side of her countless times at work events, but tonight, something felt sharper, almost electric in the air. As the conversation continued, I smiled, a small, knowing smile. Not the smile of someone jealous, but the smile of someone who understood more than anyone else in the room. I leaned in slightly, just enough that my voice would be heard by her alone, and whispered, "You know, no matter how impressive you sound, you'll always be mine." Harper froze, blinked, and then laughed softly, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. It wasn't dramatic or over the top, it was just enough to remind her, and myself, that beneath the polished smiles and corporate chatter, we had a connection that no party could dilute. Bold and natural. If this moment made you feel the tension, don't forget to hit like so more people can experience this kind of story. We continued to circulate. Harper, now glowing from the subtle reminder of our bond, talked to a few colleagues, sharing laughs, swapping stories. I watched, feeling a peculiar sense of satisfaction. It wasn't about controlling the scene or making a statement. It was about presence, quiet yet undeniable presence. And then, the unthinkable happened. Gregory moved closer to her, and in a casual, friendly tone, said something that made her laugh in a way that sent a ripple of heat through the room. My hand brushed hers, not aggressively, but with a gentle pressure. Harper's gaze met mine, and I could see the recognition. The shared understanding of our private language, our silent connection amidst the noise. As we stepped aside to grab drinks, I whispered another small, playful line. "Careful, Maxwell might think you're falling for him." Harper chuckled, shaking her head. "Don't be dramatic," she said, but her eyes told a different story. It was in these little exchanges, these subtle reminders, that the real power of our relationship revealed itself. Comment prompt. Tell me in the comments what you would do if you were in his shoes. Would you whisper, act, or stay silent? Share your thoughts. Harper's best friend, Millie, joined us then. She had always been the observant one, the one who noticed the unspoken moments. "You two look like a secret team," she said, laughing softly. I nodded, keeping the ease natural, acknowledging the words without making them heavy. Moments like this, small but meaningful, reminded me why I valued these interactions more than any public display or corporate applause. The night was just beginning, but already it had layers of pride, teasing, amusement, and a quiet affirmation of the bond Harper and I shared. We moved to the side, away from the center of attention. Harper spoke about her work, but now there was a subtle tone, a hint of admiration directed at me. "I don't think anyone else would get this," she said quietly. "Or care like you do." I smiled, the kind of smile that didn't need words to convey meaning. The chemistry, the silent reinforcement of connection, it was palpable. Comment typing prompt. Type the word chemistry in the comments if you can feel their connection in this moment. As the night went on, I noticed a shift in Harper's behavior. She was more relaxed, more herself, not just the polished professional everyone admired. And yet, there was a magnetic pull from the room, the festive energy, and I knew I had to stay close, not restrictively, but attentively. Our exchanges became little dances of understanding. A glance here, a playful nudge there. I caught myself reflecting on how many relationships lacked this subtle reinforcement, how many people never get to experience that balance between personal connection and social poise. This, I realized, was rare, precious. And I wanted others to understand it too. Share prompt. If you think your friends need to see how subtle gestures can speak volumes in a relationship, share this story with them now. By the time the evening was halfway through, the crowd had swelled, laughter mixing with the clinking of glasses. Harper and I stood near the corner, just out of the main flow, observing the room. She was animated, lively, interacting with colleagues effortlessly, but every now and then, her eyes would flick to me, a subtle acknowledgement, almost like a secret handshake only we understood. These moments, fleeting yet profound, reminded me why our connection had endured through years of challenges, deadlines, and late-night frustrations. I noticed a group gathering near the center stage, sharing work victories and toasts. Harper joined them, her charisma shining. Gregory Maxwell, ever the charming professional, complimented her on a recent presentation. She laughed, a little too brightly, and I leaned slightly closer, letting my arm brush hers. "Remember who's cheering for you quietly in the shadows," I whispered. She shot me a glance, one eyebrow raised, a smirk tugging at her lips. No words were necessary. Discussion comment prompt. Share in the comments. Have you ever experienced a subtle moment that said more than words? Let's discuss these hidden sparks. The night's music shifted to something softer, a melodic tune that encouraged conversation rather than dancing. I took Harper's hand lightly, just enough to ground us amidst the festive chaos. She responded immediately, squeezing back, the warmth of her touch reassuring. Around us, people laughed, shared stories, and took photos, but in that moment, the room seemed to fade away. It was just us. I realized then how powerful these micro-interactions were. Gestures that may seem insignificant to outsiders carried immense weight for those in the know. Later, Harper excused herself to grab a drink, leaving me momentarily alone. I observed the party through a calm lens, noticing colleagues I barely knew, sharing jokes and anecdotes. And then, a familiar face approached. Millie, Harper's friend, who had been observing the subtle interplay between us. She gave me a knowing smile and whispered, "You two have something most people never do. Don't let it fade tonight." I nodded, silently agreeing. It was affirmation, validation from someone who saw the unspoken truth beneath the surface. As Harper returned with her drink, I offered a small toast, raising my glass. "To Harper," I said softly, audible only to her, "for reminding me why presence matters more than applause." She smiled, the kind of smile that melted years of tension and expectations. The beauty of that moment was not in public recognition but in the private acknowledgement of trust and understanding. The evening progressed, and soon it was time for the traditional company raffle. People cheered, clapped, and celebrated minor wins. Harper leaned closer, whispering, "I can't believe you remembered to get my favorite drink." I laughed softly. "It's the little things that count, right?" She blushed again, and the magnetic pull between us strengthened with every passing minute. Like, comment and subscribe prompt. If you feel the subtle power of these small gestures, like this story, comment your favorite moment, and subscribe to follow more stories that explore connection, chemistry, and quiet empowerment. As the night drew to a close, we began to walk toward the exit. Outside, the cold air was a sharp contrast to the warmth inside. Harper wrapped her coat tighter, and I offered my arm. She accepted, resting her hand gently on mine. "Tonight was different," she said, her voice carrying a softness that surprised even her. I smiled, understanding that the party had been more than just an event. It had been a canvas for our quiet, unspoken communication. Driving home, the city lights blurred past, reflections dancing in the rearview mirror. Harper leaned her head lightly against my shoulder, a subtle gesture of trust and comfort. We didn't speak much, and we didn't need to. The night had said what words could not. Intimacy is built in the quiet, in the small acts, in knowing and being known. By the time we reached home, I realized something important. Relationships thrive not on grand gestures or dramatic declarations but on continuous, subtle affirmations of love, trust, and respect. Tonight, at that company party, Harper and I had navigated the noise, the social pressures, and the expectations, and found our private rhythm. And in doing so, we reinforced something far more enduring than any fleeting admiration from colleagues or applause from strangers. Even as we settled in for the night, I caught Harper glancing at me, eyes soft, a faint smile playing on her lips. "You always know what to say," she murmured. I laughed quietly, leaning in to brush my lips against her temple. "I just listen," I replied, knowing full well that sometimes the smallest words carry the loudest weight. The party, the boasting, the subtle challenges, it all became a backdrop, almost irrelevant, except as a reminder that love, connection, and presence thrive in moments often overlooked. And sometimes, it takes just a whisper, a glance, or a touch to remind someone that they are seen, valued, and understood.